It was, I think, the most straightforward, most direct bill of the special session.
Lawmakers are working through a special session this weekend and have sent several bills to the governor's desk today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer Meckles. This particular bill that we're talking about would serve as a backup plan to cover Medicaid reimbursements for Planned Parenthood after those got cut off by the president's big, beautiful bill. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause joins us tonight. So this issue is tied up in the courts right now. So the Colorado Democratic Party wanted to build in a backup plan at the state level.
Yeah, Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains says they see about 11,000 Medicaid patients in Colorado every year, everything from birth control to STI treatment and UTI care. This bill, they say, will let them continue to care here that the federal government no longer wants to pay for.
With 43 aye, 19 no, 2 excused, and 1 vacancy, Senate Bill 2 is adopted.
With that vote, State House lawmakers are sending a bill to the governor that would restore access to Planned Parenthood for Medicaid patients.
It is about access to care, no matter what.
Democratic Representative Jenny Wilford says this bill would allow state funding to cover Medicaid reimbursements at Planned Parenthood that were done on a federal level before the big, beautiful bill cut that off.
We have state dollars that we can spend on Medicaid, and we are going to spend state dollars to ensure that Medicaid patients have a continuity of care and are never cut off from the access to resources and care that they need and deserve.
Wilford is one of the bill's sponsors. She says she turned to Planned Parenthood for birth control and healthcare screenings herself years earlier.
If you have ever gone to a Planned Parenthood clinic in order to receive care, I invite you to stand up.
I was blown away by the number of my colleagues that stood up. It not only confirmed what I knew, but it showed the entire chamber that Planned Parenthood is an absolutely critical part of our healthcare infrastructure and continuum of care.
Not everyone agrees.
It was an easy vote no.
Republican Representative Brandy Bradley says they're here to trim the fat off a big budget, not spend. Bradley says that money could be better spent funding rural health care services instead.
There's not a lot of, if any, Planned Parenthoods in the rural parts of our state. And I just find it inexcusable that we're going to give $4 million to one entity when there are health care facilities that are struggling or closing their OB wards right now.
Jack Teeter at Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains says the care they offer is critical.
For a lot of our patients, especially in rural areas, our patients in Cortez, our patients in Salida, we might be the only place in their community to be able to access those primary care services, to access subsidized birth control. And so if those patients can't come to our health centers, it's not realistic to think that they'll just be absorbed by other providers in the community. That's not the case.
Right now, there's a preliminary injunction in place. And to be clear, the state money will only be spent if that injunction is eliminated. And the Medicaid dollars would go to reimburse Planned Parenthood for health care services, not for abortion. That bill will now go to the governor for his signature. Rachel Krause, 9 News.
All right, Rachel, thank you. After an unusually strong storm yesterday in the foothills, a little shop called Ski Country Antiques was forced to close. They posted this notice saying the storm brought heavy rain and hail to the Floyd Hill area, and it flooded their shop. They were closed today to clean up the damage. They say they hope to be back open again soon. That rain moved through again this evening. It did not stop some of the diehard runners from still getting in their nightly steps. This video was taken in Idaho Springs tonight. Back here in Denver, we heard some thunder roll through. Weather Impact team meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen joins us now. It didn't sound like anything too severe tonight, but you were giving your weather update earlier and I could hear the thunder outside the studio. Yeah, we did have one decent storm roll through the metro area. The pockets of heavy rain were very isolated. I think Sheridan, Inglewood got some pretty heavy rain, but the rest of us got a little bit of an entertainment from the thunderstorms and a little bit of rain. So great jogging weather, by the way. I mean, people that have been just waiting for this. Temperatures in the 60s here as we get into the 9 o'clock hour here in the Denver area. Spectacular night here. We haven't seen too much rain today as far as the heavy stuff goes, but we do have still some showers ongoing to the south of I-70 right now. The severe thunderstorm watch has been lifted for now, so the rest of the night here we just have some heavy rain down across the southeast plains. In Denver tomorrow, a little bit of a chance for some rain in the morning, but the best stuff will come in the afternoon after 5 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock, in between 3 and 8 o'clock tomorrow. Good chance that we'll get hit with that rain. And as far as the temperatures go,
Jogging weather all the way across the Front Range, eastern side of the state, and that's a break for the western slope as well. I'll have more on the rain chances and the temperatures coming up in the full forecast, and I think people will like it, Jenny.
Thank you, Corey. The Derby Fire is burning uncontained in Eagle County this weekend, just north of Dot Cerro. Tonight, it has jumped to more than 5,200 acres, about 8 square miles. This one started 8 days ago by lightning on an extremely steep cliff face in a remote area near the Flat Tops Wilderness. Now it's getting close enough to threaten some buildings, including homes. More than 500 firefighters are working to protect those structures. Good news, some of the evacuations have been rolled back to pre-evacs, meaning some people can go home tonight. Rescue workers helped a hiker out of a very dangerous spot today. South Metro Fire Rescue got a call about an injured hiker in Daniels Park, just west of Castle Pines. When they got there, they found the hiker had fallen about 20 feet, and to get them out, South Metro says they had to do a complicated 150-foot rope rescue operation. The hiker went to the hospital. We're working to learn more about how they're doing tonight. Today is Ukrainian Independence Day. It was on this day in 1991, Ukraine marked its independence from the old Soviet Union. This comes as Ukraine and Russia today remain at war. And while the White House continues to work toward peace talks between the two countries' leaders, that meeting reportedly has not been formally scheduled. Tonight, a team of Colorado-based healthcare workers and first responders are on their way to Ukraine. KUSA Ukraine is an organization that's made several trips already to the country. As 9 News reporter Janelle Finch shows us, they're teaching people how to treat serious injuries.
People can't remember everything, but Mike Pete always remembers what's going on in Ukraine.
They're on the front lines of a very hard fight.
He's a team leader for KUSA Ukraine. It's a nonprofit that trains Ukrainians to treat serious injuries.
We teach advanced pre-hospital trauma medicine. We teach it to the combat medics that are out there, but we've also worked with the emergency services.
Pete says the first trip was in April of 2022, 2 months after the war in Ukraine started. He says since then, the group has made 8 trips.
Because Ukraine's such a large country and you can't fly anywhere, it's very challenging for the medics to get to a centralized location for any sort of training.
He says the group usually consists of 3 to 5 U.S. paramedics, 1 ER doctor, 3 interpreters, and a Ukrainian doctor. Pete says the work takes them to the front lines.
Kyiv when ballistic missiles have hit. We've been in Dnipro when drones have come in.
But danger doesn't equate to fear.
The country means a lot to us, all of us.
And knowing what Ukraine is up against,
finding people who still care about what's going on in Ukraine is really important.
Gives him a reason to not forget.
Janelle Finch reporting there. Now, this mission officially begins on Thursday and runs through October 11th. Meantime, Russia's top diplomat says there is no planned meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He made those comments on Meet the Press this morning. And Vice President J.D. Vance also joined to offer a different take. He maintains the Trump administration can bring an end to this war.
Are the Russians stringing President Trump along?
No, not at all, Kristen. I think the Russians have made significant concessions to President Trump for the first time in 3.5 years of this conflict. They've actually been willing to be flexible on some of their core demands. They've talked about what would be necessary to end the war. Of course, they haven't been completely there yet, or the war would be over, but we're engaging in this diplomatic process in good faith. We are trying to negotiate as much as we can with both the Russians and the Ukrainians to find a middle ground to stop the killing.
Democratic Senator Adam Schiff of California also joined Meet the Press to criticize the Trump administration for failing to impose promised sanctions on Russia. Tonight, in the nation's capital, National Guard troops are carrying firearms on an order from the Secretary of Defense. A DoD official familiar with the situation confirmed they're carrying their service-issued weapon, an M17 pistol. Also, a few, he said, may be armed with service M14 rifles. These weapons have been authorized reportedly for their self-protection, and it's really a change in tone, as the roughly 2,000 National Guard troops were previously working unarmed just to support law enforcement with safety patrols, traffic, and crowd control. This comes as President Trump says he is eyeing other cities around the country to deploy guardsmen like New York and Chicago. The mayor of Chicago says that's not the role of the military, and he won't have it in his city.
That's how you build safe communities, by stabilizing them with critical investments. It's not through military occupation. That's not Chicago. That's not America. We won't bend. We won't cower. We will not break under this authoritarianism rule. What this president is attempting to do is not just unconstitutional, but it is very much a threat to our democracy.
Chicago's Mayor Johnson issued a statement today saying in part, quote, "We are currently evaluating all of our legal options to protect the people of Chicago from unconstitutional federal overreach."